Shema Hope you enjoy this next study. My name's Dee. This is my wife, Millie.
So if you like what you see, subscribe and hit the notification bell. And if you wish to reach out to us, you can email us at devotedtoyah@gmail.com.
Exodus chapter 12. So now, Yahuwah spoke to Moses and Aaron in the land of Egypt, saying, this month shall be your beginning of months. It shall be the first of the month of the year to you. Now, I don't know where in the year they were during this time, but it does sound like an interruption and it sounds like a new calendar that they are not familiar with. They're living in Egypt as slaves, and they were most likely following the Egyptian calendar. But from this point, Yahuwah says, no, this is going to be the calendar starting today. This month shall be the beginning of months for you. It shall be the first of the month of the year to you. Speak to all the congregation of Israel, saying, on the 10th of this month, every man shall take for himself a lamb, according to the house of his father, a lamb for a household. And if the household is too small for the lamb, let him and his neighbor next to his house take it according to the number of the person. So if it's too big for your family, don't be stingy. If you know you're going to have leftovers, invite your neighbor and team up with this to have this lamb. According to each man's need, you shall make your count for the lamb. Your lamb shall be without blemish. We'll talk about that. What does it mean? A male of the first year. You may take it from the sheep or from the goats. You shall keep it until the 14th day of the same month. Okay, you're keeping this lamb until the 14th day of the same month. So from the 10th to the 14th day, you are keeping this lamb. 4 days. Then the whole assembly of the congregation of Israel shall kill it. This translation says at twilight. And it says, verse 7, and they shall take some of the blood and put it on the 2 doorposts and on the lintel of the houses where they eat it. Then they shall eat the flesh on that night, roasted in fire with unleavened bread, with bitter herbs, they shall eat it. Remember in chapter 11, when I highlighted that it said Yahuwah is going to visit the land of Egypt around midnight. So that's very important. So a lamb is kept from the 10th to the 14th. At night, it's slaughtered and it's eaten in that night. It says, then they shall eat the flesh on that night. Okay. Verses 1 and 2. Yah is stating, this is our new year, the start of the new year. So one of the first things we want to mention real quick with verses 1 and 2 is that there's a belief out there by Jewish people that Rosh Hashanah is the head of the new year. But that is false. That is not biblical. That is not true. That is a tradition of men. That is a tradition of the Jews, rabbis, whatever you want to call them, the Talmudic stuff. Talmud is a library of books that rabbis and leaders have written in the Jewish communities. That many stuff that's in those books are additional commandments on top of what Yahuwah already commanded us. Their justification for it is we're actually expounding on Yah's commandments. So if he says don't work, we're going further and explaining what is considered work. And so they would actually give details that are not necessarily in scripture. They would tell you things like you can't turn on a switch in your home. You know, you're not allowed, but you can go get a Gentile and have a Gentile come to your house and turn your switch on, but you can't do it, which is a violation of scripture, because the 10 Commandments says you're not to work. Don't make your neighbors work. Don't make the strangers work. Don't make anybody work. So that's why I don't trust the Talmud. I know there's some things in the Talmud that are not wrong. In our assembly, we don't even read the Talmud. We don't even consider it. We're not interested. Nothing in the scriptures tells us that we need Talmud. So we're absolutely comfortable with just the 66 books that Yahuwah has given us. We believe that has every ingredient you need to live a righteous and holy life. So that's the first thing we want to say. Rosh Hashanah is the false new year. It's not the new year. Also, it's not January. I wanted to take some time here to explain why we don't celebrate January 1st as the new year. We stumbled across this website. It is called learnreligions.com. And I want to show you guys real quick the About Us section, just so you know there's no biases here. The writers. Here's the writers of this website. I'll zoom in for you. It says, our experienced group of writers are full-time. I don't know why it's acting up now. Are full-time ministers, published authors, licensed clergy, and teachers. They are dedicated to helping readers deepen their faith, or become more familiar with the world's religions. Meet some of our writers. Mary Fairchild is a Christian writer, editor, and full-time minister. Since 2005, Mary has authored hundreds of articles on Christianity and the Bible for several brands. She worked as the general editor on several Christian books and booklets for Calvary Chapel, St. Petersburg from 2006 until 2017. Mary is also a writer for gotquestions.org. I don't know about you, but I used to use that website a lot when I used to try to look for questions. I only use that website now to disprove Christians and their false doctrines. Sometimes gotquestions.org is good. Sometimes they got good stuff. But when it comes to the law of Moses and the Hebrew roots movement, they are absolutely abhorrently wrong. This website, these people hate God's law. They hate the law of Moses. But it's very interesting. I was like, wow, she wrote for gotquestions.org. It says, a ministry that assists others in understanding the nature of God, the scriptures, salvation, and other spiritual topics. So in May 1991, Mary received a general biblical studies degree from an interdenominational Christian training center. So there you go. That's a Christian. Who's the next writer? Patty Wigginton is a pagan writer and educator with over 30 years of experience teaching workshops and classes on paganism throughout the U.S. She is a pagan high priestess and a licensed pagan clergy in the state of Ohio. I just want to let you know what website I'm going to find out the information that I'm about to share with you guys. So as you can see, we have a Christian working with a pagan to educate people on the different religions of the world, okay? So with that being said, we're going to go to January. January it comes from the god Janus, which is the two-faced god. Okay, there's a picture. And guess who wrote about it? Patty Wigginton. So who better to speak about it than somebody who practices paganism, right? It says, in the mythology of ancient Rome, Janus was the god of new beginnings. He was associated with doors and gates and the first steps of a journey. The month of January, of course, falling at the beginning of the new year, is believed to be named in his honor, although some scholars say it is in fact named for Juno. I think Janus is accurate. January. Doesn't say January. Either way. Says, did you know the month of January is to believe the name be named for Janus? It's a time of new beginnings. As a god of change and the transition from past to present to future, Janus is sometimes considered a deity of time. In ancient Rome, the gates of Janus Temple were only closed in times of peace, which didn't happen often. I'm not going to read any more. I think that's enough to know that that is not what we should be keeping. We shouldn't be keeping New Year's. If you are a believer in Yahuwah, who is a jealous God, who doesn't appreciate the worship of other gods, also the God who actually established a new year according to scripture, who has his own calendar for his people, and we're claiming to be his people. We're the children of God. We're claiming to be the children of the God of Israel, right? Even Christians, I speak to you. You claim to follow Christ. Christ is God in the flesh. He is the Father. He is the Creator and the Son at the same time. And if you follow him, he gave us a calendar. He gave us holidays. We should be following him and not following the religions of the world. Okay?